In our previous lesson, we would multiply a monomial by a binomial or a trinomial, meaning one term outside the parentheses with two or more terms inside. In this lesson, we're going to look at multiplying binomials, a two-term expression by another two-term expression. Our target is that we will do this using what's called the FOIL method to multiply binomials and distributive property to multiply a binomial and a trinomial. So let's just go ahead and dive in and explain to you what the FOIL method is. You will hear me reference this term all the time. I'm going to show you two different methods to multiply binomials, but the FOIL method is by far my favorite one. FOIL is an acronym, and it stands for the steps of what you're going to multiply. Essentially, you are distributing this 2x to each term in the second binomial, and you are distributing a positive 4 to each term. And what FOIL is a way to organize that so that you don't miss on any of the multiplication that needs to take place. So the F is you're multiplying the first terms. So that would be 2x times 3x. 2x times 3x. Okay, which would be 6x squared. Okay, let's pick up a different color. Now the outside terms, that's going to be 2x and negative 7. You should be trained enough now to recognize the sign to the left of the term. So 2x, so that's going to be plus 2x times negative 7, which would be negative 14x. Then we will go to the inside terms. Let's pick a different color for that. Inside terms are 4 and 3x, so then I'm going to add 4 times 3x, which would be 12x. I need to make some room here. Let's move this over. And then we're finally going to multiply the last terms. So your last terms are positive 4 and negative 7. So plus 4 times negative 7, which is negative 28. Now this first line of writing is not something that by any means that I expect you to write out as you're working them out. This right here is going on in your head. You're saying, okay, I'm going to multiply 2x times 3x, so I'm going to write down 6x squared. Then in my head, 2x times negative 7 is negative 14x. Then 4 times 3x in my head is 12x, and I write down 12x, and then do the same with positive 4 times negative 7. So I should see this line right here. Then I should see a second line where you are simplifying it. I'm looking to combine like terms, and I'm writing this polynomial now in standard form. It is naturally falling in standard form in that I have the second degree and then I have the first degree terms. I can combine those first degree terms of negative 14x and positive 12x. So simplified, 6x squared comes down, negative 14x and 12x combine to be negative 2x, and negative 28 is put onto the end. So that is my simplified version. I have FOILed it out. I have multiplied those binomials. A second method is called the table method. It's very similar to if you've done Punnett squares in science. I am taking one of the binomials, x minus 4, so I have x and negative 4. I have the negative 4 there because that's attached to that term. And then my second binomial of 3x plus 1, 3x plus 1. And so what the table does is it organizes my multiplication. 3x times x is 3x squared. X times positive 1 is x. 3x times negative 4 would be negative 12x. And negative 4 times positive 1 would be negative 4. Then I need to combine my like terms, and so you can see that we have x and negative 12x that are like terms. 3x squared is brought down, negative 12x, and x is negative 11x, and then negative 4. So you do have to set up the table, but it does organize it for you. It doesn't matter to me which method you use. In your homework, the directions will say use the FOIL method here, use the table here. You can disregard those directions. It does not matter to me which method you use. Then finally, let's look at multiplying a trinomial and a binomial. you have 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 times x minus 3. I have a trinomial, 3 terms, times a binomial, 2 terms. So you're going to stack and multiply as you would multiplying multi-digit numbers. Think of that as 231 times 13. It's the same thing. I am stacking my numbers and then I'm going to multiply. So as I would before, I'm going to start with -3. And I'm going to multiply that times 1, which is -3. Then -3 times -3x would be, positive, because negative times negative is positive, 9x. And then -3 times 2x squared would be -6x squared. So that's where I have multiplied by -3. Now I'm going to multiply by x. Just as before, when I would do whole number multi-digit numbers, I have to do a placeholder. You can either skip over or put a 0 there as a placeholder. And let's do x times each of those terms. X times 1 is x. X times -3x is -3x squared. That was a positive x there. And then x times 2x squared would be 2x to the third. Now let's go about combining those like terms. They're stacked up very nicely for us. -3 plus 0 is -3. 9x plus x is 10x. -6x squared plus -3x squared would be -9x squared. And 2x to the third comes down. And there you have it. 2x to the third minus 9x squared plus 10x minus 3.